It's called Midnight Child, and it is based on a spiritual, which is called Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child.
The poem I'm going to do is called Saw an Old Woman. It's about an experience I had years ago. I am a former athlete, and my cane, I just had my hip replaced last month. You know, the things we do in our teens and in our 20s, we pay for them in our 70s. But I had dropped out of school at a time when I wanted to become a poet. And I was visiting with a friend of mine who was on the track team, but who had just signed a contract to play with the Green Bay Packers, so he had a lot of money. And he sent us a plane ticket. We went down to visit. I didn't feel like working out that day. I'm walking around the neighborhood, place called Coconut Grove, Florida, and this old woman called me onto her porch. And I was raised in such a way, when your elders summon you, you respond. And I made the mistake, and it turned out into a wonderful mistake, of telling her that I dropped out of college. And she proceeded to give me a history lesson. And so this poem came out of that experience, and I'm happy to say I went back to college and graduated twice. Saw an old woman fleeing the sanctuary of my youth. I looked on her years. Rugged American time had sculptured her, carved her Gula Geechee edged curves like soft virgin wood. I remember she spoke of the for-colored only signs. She said, boy, you never knowed them signs. You never knowed what it's like to have to jump. Saw this old woman. She talked of her times. The Black Star Line had fertilized her coming of age growth. The taste of Jim Crow had not, could not bitter her sweet. She said, how's come you youngins don't talk no Marcus Garvey talk? You ain't old enough to really know about them night riders, is you, boy? This old woman looked deeply into my eyes. She looked beyond those questions I could never ask her, into the answers only she could give. She said, boy, you know Jesus were a field nigga. White man never able to break him with that lash, so he lynched him. But he coming back, he sure enough coming back. I saw this deep brown sitting in a rocker on a front porch, elder woman. She anointed me with her clear earth water tears. She blanketed me in the grandmother warmth of her years. She had never stopped struggling, had never given up, though a people had been consigned to the rear. Lost in her own deep thought, she looked through me. She said, but something's changed, boy, something's changed. Seems like to me you young peoples today don't have no spines. Where the racemen at today, boy? Where the ones to build up the race? She said, you old enough to know these things, boy. I saw this old, southern, black woman. She called me to her porch. She touched into my life. I saw in her our story living in this now time. She said, you old enough to know these things, boy.